Welcome. Today we will be talking about how to set up an employee handbook for your childcare business. The information contained here has been prepared by Civitas Strategies Early Start and is not intended to constitute legal, tax, or financial advice. The Civitas Strategies Early Start team has used reasonable efforts in collecting, preparing, and providing this information, but does not guarantee its accuracy, completeness, adequacy, or currency. The publication and distribution of this information is not intended to create, and receipt does not constitute, an attorney-client or any other advisory relationship. Reproduction of this information is expressly prohibited. In today's conversation, we will explore what is an employee handbook and how can it help your childcare business. We will also consider what policies and procedures an employee handbook should include. Outlining your policies and procedures for your childcare employees in an employee handbook informs your employees what's expected of them and sets them up for success. An employee handbook helps you communicate how things operate at your childcare center and serves as a guidebook and a reference for your employees. Creating your own handbook may sound daunting, but the process does not have to be difficult. What is an employee handbook? An employee handbook, also called an employee manual or staff handbook, is a document that lays out the policies, procedures, rules, and requirements of your workplace. The purpose of the employee handbook is to have all of these things written in one place so your employees know the rules and procedures they are expected to follow, and your employees know what they can expect by working at your business. This document is often reviewed as part of the onboarding process and serves as an ongoing reference for your business. Employee handbooks are helpful as they not only describe the rules in your place of business, but they also describe how those rules apply to everyone equally and consistently, protecting your business. Employee handbooks help employees know their rights and the benefits they receive by working at your childcare business. What should an employee handbook include? Your employee handbook can be a brief packet of information or a more extensive document. How much information you include is entirely up to the needs of your childcare business. Here are a few considerations about the types of things to include in your employee handbook and why you might choose to include them. Start off by sharing your business's mission statement. By including your mission statement in your employee handbook, you communicate what's important to your childcare business so your employees know what you value. This statement is helpful to refer to often when training someone or when faced with a challenging situation. Be sure to include a code of conduct. Stating what employee behaviors are allowed and what are unacceptable helps employees to know how to act at work. When working so closely with young children and their families, there may be some behaviors that may be acceptable in other workplaces that wouldn't be in an early childhood setting. This is the place to spell those things out and share why. You will want to state your pay policy, including paydays, timekeeping procedures, meals and other breaks, and your overtime policy. Communicate how often your employees get paid and the methods they can receive their pay. If you have clock in and out procedures or an overtime policy, this is the place to explain how that works. Outline your break policy so employees will understand what they can expect from their meal and break times. You also should state your attendance policy and procedure. Children and families thrive on consistency, so your business depends upon the reliable attendance of your employees. Describe for your staff the importance of consistent attendance, punctuality, and the importance of their presence throughout the entirety of their workday. Also explain the policy for requesting time off, the procedure for requesting time off in advance, and what to do when your employee becomes sick at work or needs to leave unexpectedly. Share your holiday schedule and what your employees can expect. When will your childcare business be closed for holidays, and will employees be paid? Make sure this is clear. If a holiday comes on a weekend, you should specify whether it is honored on the next workday. List out your vacation policy. Your vacation policy should inform your employees of how much vacation time they have, how they earn that time, how they can use it, and if there are any rules about carrying over that time from one year to the next. Be sure to include your family and medical leave policy. What is the process for requesting family and medical leave? How much leave can an employee take, and will it be paid? Again, it's important to make sure your policy follows all relevant employment laws. Your employee handbook is the place to share information about your benefits. What benefits, if any, will your employees receive? Make sure you check all relevant employment laws before offering or declining to offer benefits to employees. You also can describe the employee's nature of employment. Are they an employee at will, or have they signed a contract? If you have your employees sign a contract upon employment, this is a space to share that, as well as what an employee should do when they decide to leave your business. Your employee handbook also should outline your business's complaint process or conflict resolution policy. Clearly state how you expect employees to address challenges or concerns they may have with a coworker, a family, or with a supervisor. Having a well-written policy can help you in sticky situations. Also include the disciplinary procedures for employees. Describe what happens when an employee doesn't follow a policy, procedure, or rule of your program. Describe your business's dress code. Working with young children is physical and sometimes messy work. Describing to your employees what clothing is acceptable and unacceptable will help them know how to properly dress for work. Share your rules around confidentiality. Explain to your employees the sensitive nature of working with children and families. The information they are privileged to know about children and families is confidential and shouldn't be shared with others who don't need to know. Even seemingly harmless or humorous stories can be inappropriate to share widely. Your employee handbook should share with your employees their mandated child abuse and/or neglect reporter role. Employees must know that anyone who suspects that a child has been abused or neglected is required by law to disclose their suspicions right away. This is true if the abuse or neglect is happening at home or if they suspect another staff member of abuse or neglect. You also should state your equal opportunity employment policies. Equal employment opportunity laws forbid most employers from discriminating against employees. It's important to check the laws, federal, state, and local, and make sure you are complying with them. You also want to note these laws and your commitment to adhering to them in your handbook. No matter its length and level of detail, your employee handbook should be put in writing and shared with all employees, whether that's in print or electronically. Employees should be required to read the handbook and sign a form stating that they have done so. That form should be kept on file. In fact, one of your policies should detail how you will keep track of the fact that each employee has received a copy of your policies and has agreed to abide by them. Other possible policies or procedures you may want to include in your employee handbook are a cell phone usage policy. When and where can employees use their cell phones? Are they allowed to capture photos or videos of the children in your care? Your social media policy. What can an employee post or not post about their work on social media? The process around performance evaluations and assessments. How often does this occur and what can an employee expect? The storage of personal items. Where are employees allowed to store their personal belongings? Your diapering and hand washing policy. Outlining these procedures in writing can be very helpful for employees when learning the steps and how often they are to be diapering and hand washing. Your meals and snacks for staff. Are employees expected to eat with the children or away from the children during their break? Clearly stating what's appropriate concerning meals and snacks when caring for children helps employees know what to do. Continue thinking about what else to include in your employee handbook. Other ideas are your emergency preparedness plans, including any evacuation plans. Share where employees might locate needed items, how often you practice emergency procedures, and what to expect in the event of an emergency. Your policy regarding children's medication. Outline your medication policy and the procedure for administering medication if your program does so. Be sure to include how and where medication is stored. Your expectations around professional development. Describe for your employees the number of professional development hours they are required to complete as an employee of your program. Share how they are to learn about professional development opportunities, how permission is granted before registering, and how they will be compensated for their time. Your drug and alcohol policy. State your policy regarding drug and alcohol consumption and be sure to include prescription drugs as well. For employees whose children attend your program, outline the expectation for your employees Are they allowed to work in spaces with their own children? List your staff to child ratios. Employees who are new to working in childcare programs often don't understand the importance of maintaining staff to child ratios. Describe clearly what staff to child ratios mean for your program. Also, clearly explain what is meant by supervision, both indoors and outdoors, so your employee can be successful and your program can too. Your nursing mother accommodations. What accommodations does your program make for nursing mothers? Texas Childcare Tools has a handbook example that you may find helpful in creating an employee handbook for your childcare business. You can find this editable employee handbook by visiting their website. Thank you for joining me for this discussion about employee handbooks. If you are interested in other helpful resources, information, and guides, visit childcare.texas.gov to find these on various topics in both English and Spanish. There, you can also sign up and register for free one-on-one business coaching.